if you could tell me your full name and spell it for me.
My name is Justin Michael Anderson, JustinMichaelanderson.
Perfect. All right, so we've had quite the interesting week.
Yes, it's been eventful.
Awesome. Well, we're going to get into that. Before we do, we'll just kind of loosen up a little bit. Who's your favorite superhero?
Okay, my favorite superhero would be, I would have to say,
And why?
in the world would be, I don't know, I really like Iron Man.
Yeah?
Iron Man's the boss. He's the man. So,
What about Iron Man makes him your favorite?
what I like about Iron Man was that he wasn't born with any supernatural abilities. What set him apart was his money and his ability to take his money and to do something good with it. That he was able to use capitalism and to be able to help the world through those free market principles, so to speak.
Cool.
So that's one of the main reasons I like Iron Man.
Awesome.
And he doesn't care about what people think. He just does what he wants to do.
That is very true. He doesn't care at all what anybody else thinks.
No.
Cool. Well, thank you for that. So give us a little bit of backstory. I believe there was a phone call that invited you to. So can you give us just set it up for us? What brought you to the Capitol last week?
I received a phone call from the daughter of the organizer that was putting on the rally here at the Utah State Capitol.
What was the rally for?
The rally was to promote traditional marriage, and it was done by the National Organization for Marriage. I received a phone call to ask me to essentially volunteer, to hold signs, to help table, to help with security, and any other things. They said that my opportunities I would essentially be able to do anything I wanted as a volunteer at the rally. The phone call lasted no more than 3 to 4 minutes. I told them that I would be in attendance, but I would not be there in support of them. When I said that, I planned on just being a spectator, not taking sides, even though I had my own personal views, but I would essentially just watch the rally, watch the rhetoric used by both sides, and to help solidify my own views on marriage inequality.
Great. And how did they get your number?
That's a great question. I attended a previous rally done by National Organization for Marriage, and I believe it was held on this year's State of the Union. I believe it was held on that date. And there was many clipboards going around, and they said, "Do you support marriage? Sign here." And I thought it was the ones that were supporting marriage equality. Because I support marriage, absolutely. I wholeheartedly support marriage. And so I put my name, number, and email. And that's my only assumption as how they got my contact info, was misrepresenting what the clipboard was used for.
Great. Awesome. So you've had an exciting week. You've been on a fairly popular equal rights Facebook page. A nice article was written about you.
Yes.
BuzzFeed posted an article about you, and I'm sure various other sources.
Yes.
Were you expecting that?
Absolutely not. When I came to the Capitol, I was expecting that the only ones that would notice me were the ones that understood what my poster even meant, and that would be few to none, and the media attention would be zero. I was completely isolated. I was alone, and I had no reason to believe that the media would pick up this story and to consider me the Mormon photo bomber. That was a huge unintended consequence of my attendance at the rally.
And so you brought up your poster. What was your poster? What did it say, and what did it mean?
The poster said, "Inalienable rights trumps states' rights." And I brought that up because the community that supports traditional marriage, they have a huge outcry that the judicial branch has overreached the will of the people of Utah. That the judicial branch does not have the right to legislate from the bench, so to speak, when they struck down Amendment 3. And then you have the LGBT community saying that their rights are being violated. So you have people complaining about states' rights and inalienable rights. And to take it from a constitutional perspective and to mainly take it from a constitutional perspective, I was able to convey to those that they can support these unalienable rights of these LGBT community members without having to nullify their own gospel understanding if they're religious or if they're atheist or anything, that they can support this without having to discredit everything they believe, especially in a community such as Utah.
Great. That was leading into my next question, and it was, some within the LDS Church will feel that you have done wrong and gone against what they believe the church teaches. What would you tell or like to point out to such individuals?
I have gotten a lot of feedback from the LDS community, and many have questioned how I can stand for marriage equality and fully embrace the gospel of Jesus Christ. And to them I would say I can stand for marriage equality because I do understand the gospel of Jesus Christ, and I do understand the teachings of the church and the doctrine that the church espouses. One of the main tenets that we believe as LDS members is free agency. We believe in the great war in heaven, that Lucifer would take away our agency, but he had a noble pursuit, that we would all return back to Father's presence. And that was against the will of God. He wanted us to have agency. He wanted us to choose. And in another perspective, I would say, is when Mormons used to practice polygamy, the federal government came in and said that we are going to take away your free exercise of religion, an unalienable right that we believe that God has given us. That was a huge, huge controversial issue for our faith, and it still is today. And so while Mormons are the majority, we cannot exterminate the rights of the minority because it disagrees with our faith and what we think disagrees with our faith. I am whether I believe homosexuality is moral or immoral, that is not the discussion at the time. The discussion is, do these people have their constitutional rights? And that is the discussion I wanted to bring into the spotlight.
Great. The church teaches marriage is between one man and one woman. How do you reconcile what the church teaches with the views you hold?
It's another great point. Doctrinally, we believe that marriage is between man and many women. We believe that polygamy is an eternal law. Our government doesn't allow it, but we circumvent the government in a spiritual sense. And Mormons can practice their faith. Within the church has every right to dictate its doctrine and to dictate its own practices within its members. Members can voluntarily join this church and voluntarily abide by its tenets. But to insist that we live in a theocracy and to discredit that we live in a constitutional republic just because of a statement made by leaders of one church that has less than 7 million people in the United States, to insist that theocracy overrides a constitutional republic, I find insensitive, and I find it's against what God established, if we believe God established the Constitution of the United States.
Thank you. So many members of the church, or former members who may have held similar views to you, have felt that their opinion is not wanted or needed within the church and have decided to leave. One, why don't you feel the need to leave? And two, what would you say to those people who have left?
The first question, why I don't want to leave. I feel fully reconciled before God with my political philosophy concerning equal marriage and me embracing the gospel of Jesus Christ. I can't think of a reason why I would want to leave. I want people to practice what they believe, and I want them to allow me to practice what I believe. I have yet to find where people can't. I can't understand the argument that those two ideologies cannot be cohesive. I find those that make that statement to not understand what they truly believe, that they just regurgitate what has been told to them, and they have not considered the doctrine of the values. Now, to your second question, to those that have left, I would say to please come back. There are those in the LDS community that we love God's children, and to please come back. Don't take the ignorance of members of the church as for all. There's always a few that ruin it for the majority, and we see that in any demographic. But please come back. You're wanted. You're loved. And there are those that are willing to stand with you. And come back to the fold.
Thank you. Clearly, you have impacted how many gay rights activists look at the LDS Church. I've read in comments people saying things like, referring to you, he'll definitely receive backlash from his community, his church, his work, and his friends, etc. Thus far, have you experienced that?
I've experienced some backlash. I don't focus on the backlash that I've received because when you know you stand for something that is correct, when you know you stand on principle, you're always going to disagree with a few. And there are always going to be those that you'll never be able to please them all. So I look past the backlash, and I look at the support I've received from not only within the LDS community, but without. From those who are atheist, Jewish, Christian, Mormon, gay, straight, married, single. I look at the support I've received from them and how I have fully embraced the teachings of Christ. And I use that to look over the backlash that I have received.
And as a follow-up question, do you think it's a fair characterization of how church members or the church treats people who hold similar positions to you?
Can you restate the question?
Yeah, so some people have believed that you would receive backlash, that you would be ostracized from all the church members, you'd be ostracized from school, you'd be kicked out, and similar. Do you feel that that's a fair characterization of how the church as a whole treats its members and how members will, in general, would treat someone that is an advocate of equal rights?
I would say that is an unfair characterization. I want to separate the church from the LDS community. The church as a whole has to look out for the teachings and to ensure that its teachings are correct and being applied correctly to the LDS community. Now, whether the LDS community reflects the church or not is a different thing. And I think you can find that in anything, whether people truly represent what they say, whether Christians truly represent Christ in every situation. I would say it would be an unfair characterization, but I would say that I hope that changes. I hope the outlook that people have of the Mormon church changes, that we are a church that embraces everyone, that we are a church of love, of a faith, of hope, that we can be progressive in the human family, which is something that we used to be, but somehow we lost within the culture of Mormonism.
Great. Well, I thank you for your time. Thank you for coming out, and thank you for being able to stand up for what you believe in and not fear, any kind of repercussions, kind of like Iron Man. In closing, since this is a Mormon-themed YouTube channel, I would like to ask you if you wouldn't mind to bear your testimony about the gospel of Jesus Christ as it pertains to Mormonism, and how you can invite others to join with you in that testimony. And if you wouldn't mind, you can look to the audience.
I do know that the gospel of Jesus Christ is real, that it was restored to the earth, and that the gospel is for all, that the gospel isn't just for those who fit a certain characterization that many believe that they must fit into. I promise that the gospel is a gospel of change, that we're able to become better people, that through living the gospel we will learn to love others, to treat others how we would want to be treated. I'm thankful for the gospel and for joining this church. And because of my understanding of the gospel, I'm here to stand with those who feel that they cannot stand for their own. And I pray that each and one of you would consider the gospel of Jesus Christ as espoused by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Whether you're a member or not, whether you used to be or still are, I pray that you would consider the message that I was able to give today, and know that Christ loves you, and I love you, and many others love you all as well. And I say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.